Hey y'all, welcome back to the Hack Shack. We're actually my car. So I'm heading out. It's about 7:30 in the morning here. I'm heading out to go to Hamvention for basically one day, and the weather's going to be kind of junky, so hopefully this will help me out some. But I haven't been here forever. I'm excited to go check it out. I've got my little Heltec here flashed with the Dayton Hamvention specific firmware, so I'll be interested to see how that goes. And the big thing I'm looking forward to is seeing a friend that I've had for quite a while. I may not show him because I'm sure he's a pretty private person, but we'll see how it goes. But I haven't seen him since my wedding, which was 20 plus years ago. So I'm excited to see that. So this video may not even make it to the channel, but I just wanted to start out like this in case it does. Maybe I'll show some of the trip and show some of the cool stuff from Hamvention.
It is nasty, nasty, nasty out here. It's a little bit better, but when I started out, I couldn't hardly see. Need to find some Rain-X or something.
Eventually I got there and hopped on the shuttle bus and headed over to the main site of Hamvention. And after that short bus ride clip, I didn't record another lick of video my whole day there. Look, there were a ton of other creators there swarming all those booths and getting tons of great coverage. There's nothing I could probably show you that you can see on tons of other channels. That event was covered 6 ways to Sunday, but I hadn't seen my friend in a very long time. And I figured I wouldn't worry about recording. I would just be in the moment, hang out with my bud, talk ham radio, and walk around a little bit. So we were walking outside in the rain a little bit in the flea market area and passed by a bunch of cool stuff, not in my budget or space constraints or wife acceptance values. But on one row, I caught something out of the corner of my eye. It stopped me dead in my tracks, but we'll get back to that later. Stay tuned. I got this thing that I'll show you later, and my friend graciously offered to stick in his backpack. And I don't know if he realized how bulky and heavy it was, but he was a trooper. He stuck to his word and carried it. Nice guy. Thank you, sir. So other than a couple of trips in and out, looking around at the flea market at various times, we spent a bunch of time going through all the different inside areas, looking at booths and stuff like that. I like education stuff and seeing young people getting into electronics and radio and things like that. So I don't know what building it was in, but the area that was kind of had a little section, at least, at that time, I think it was a section dedicated to young folks. There was an area where had them where they could solder and put together some various kits and stuff. And, anytime I see some kids soldering, that just is awesome. So I enjoyed seeing those folks doing that. That was cool. And then we were on the hunt for the QRP Labs booth because my friend wanted to check that out because I think he was on the hunt for a QMX kit and he was able to get that. And I didn't really have any plans of buying anything like that there. But man, that the QMX Plus kit, it was kind of calling my name. And I was ready to make an impulse purchase. But by the time I decided that I could maybe do that, I realized that they had sold all the stock they brought with them. So maybe that indirectly saved me from making that impulse purchase. I haven't pulled the trigger on the website or anything yet. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. I don't know. But in that moment, I would have given them my money for one of those. It looked really cool. But I like the idea of that. And I remember seeing that name around, but there's like a billion things covering or competing for my attention these days. And sometimes ham radio, sadly, has been on the back burner compared to some other hobbies and things like that. But seeing that stuff in person was really cool, like a really neat kit and a neat company to support. Before my friend and I called it a day, went back to our cars, and I gave him a Yaesu 1500M that I've been moving from house to house and have not used ever really. And I know he was kind of maybe looking for a nice VHF mobile, so hopefully it will get some use with him. And not long after that, we parted ways, and I did take this still photo. Oh, and I also took another still photo of a cool stack of deck stuff that was out there on the flea market, but no video. But, I'm a sucker for some PDP stuff. So what was it that stopped me out there in the wet grass in the flea market area? It was this, an Atlas 220 CS AC console, built-in speaker, built-in AC power supply. And it reminded me of a project that I haven't really touched in a while. So what does this go with? It goes with this. This is an Atlas 210X HF transceiver. For the real radio geeks out there watching, you probably instantly recognize this layout, and if it looks a little like a Swan radio to you, that's not an accident. The man who built this, Herb Johnson, W6QKI, was Swan Electronics. He built his first rigs in a garage in Arizona, grew Swan to 400 radios a month, and then sold the whole thing to a defense contractor. So this one in particular has been quiet for a while. And unlike sometimes when you buy an old radio, you don't know the history of it, I know exactly who the last, and probably I'm assuming the original owner of this radio was. It belonged to a silent key, the late father-in-law of my aunt. And I've got his call sign here. This is Jamie from the future here. I just want to take a moment to say, check out this guy's life here. I wish I would have gotten a chance to talk to him a little more back in the day when I was younger, but I did not. Looks like he was a radio technician during World War II. Had a first-class license. He was a chief engineer for a radio station for 60 years. And I know he also owned his own radio and TV shop for 40 years. So that's pretty darn cool. I bet he had some good stuff he could share and some fun stories to tell. Several years ago, they asked me if I would be interested in it when they were trying to clean up some stuff. And of course, I said yes. But it has been sitting, and I haven't tried to power it on or anything because I want to make sure I do everything right and try not to damage it. So when I originally got this radio, I was doing the Googling and saw the manual and stuff like that. And I saw one of these consoles that was made, for it to kind of dock into. And I always thought that was a really cool accessory. So when I spotted that console out on the flea market area at Dayton, I just thought it was a sign that I should probably mess with this radio some more and get it back going. So field day's right around the corner. I'm kind of wondering if I can get this radio back working for that. If you were waking up this rig from this long slumber like this, what steps would you follow? Throw it in the comments below. I'm interested for any advice I can get on that because I am looking for ideas. I have in my head what I think I would do, but I know there's a lot of folks out there with a lot more experience than I have with this stuff, so I'm all ears. So that's about it. There are a ton of great videos out there that show you a lot of stuff that happened there. So go check those out. And if you're wondering if it's worth going to, I say definitely yes. As a kid growing up in South Carolina, I would have these magazines and they would mention Hamvention and stuff, and it felt like something that I'd never be able to go to. But, now that I'm older and have some means of my own, I'm able to go. I probably should have been going a lot more. And maybe now with this friend of mine getting into ham radio a little later in life, that'll kind of push me to be a little more active. So I'm looking forward to that. If you made it this far, thanks for watching and hope to see you again next time. Take care. Bye-bye.